Thank you for joining us at Toy Fair University. Now we have Follow Up Like a Pro. Up first will be Ed Gartin at Bestway USA.
Hey, thank you guys. And this is April Mitchell from 4A's Creations, a professional inventor. And some of you probably know her from LinkedIn, maybe. Some of you know her from in real life, right? But she's a full-time inventor, much like yourselves, and I'm an inventor relations professional. And we're going to try to attack this from both sides and answer all the questions you guys have. But if we miss anything during our presentation, we'll be right over there afterwards. So don't stress.
Thank you all for joining us today. We're super excited to share what we have. And we are hoping that after this, you will all follow up like a pro.
Hey, you know, we're talking about relationships, and I felt really far away from you. I'm actually feeling really far away from you guys, too. Do you want to get closer?
Sure.
And if you guys want to get closer, too, that's okay. If you're really comfortable where you are, that's also okay. But, you know, inventing is about relationships, right? It's about networking. It's about building relationships. And just like you think, what am I going to do after the pitch? It actually starts before the pitch, right? This is all about how you're interacting with the people that you're trying to license your product to. So long before the pitch, you're building a relationship. You're talking to these people. You're trying to push your best foot forward. And what you're trying to do is establish a long-term relationship, right? So you're going to book that meeting, hopefully, right? You're going to meet them somewhere, LinkedIn, here at a show or something. You're going to book that meeting. And then the momentum keeps going after the meeting. And that's what we're going to talk to you about, because what we want is the meeting to go amazing, but then it not to get awkward after the meeting, right? And sometimes it gets awkward for you, where you guys are like, nothing but crickets. We'll talk about that. And sometimes it gets awkward for us, the inventor relations person, right? And so we're going to try and avoid that during this meeting, or this little presentation.
Yes. So to get started, after you've pitched, you want to send that first follow-up email. In that first follow-up email, a warm greeting, of course, but remind the person how they know you, when they saw you. So when did you pitch to them? Also let them know what you pitched to them and what you're sending them. So when I do a first follow-up email, I like to recap my meeting. I'll say, as a quick reminder, I presented the following concepts, and I list them out, everything, whether they liked certain things or not, I list everything out. And then after that, I give them detailed about the feedback. So I said, oh, you liked this item, or you really love this, or you love this theme, or you said this wouldn't work because you're currently working on something similar. So I let them know that I have all that information, and I remind them of that information as well, because they see so many inventors, they see so many concepts. So just so they know, we're on the same page with that.
So again, it's where we met, what you showed, what we said, and then the next steps, right? So during that meeting, we're going to have next steps. And in that email, there's going to be next steps for you to take. And then you might even remind me what the next steps are I committed to, right? And I know that sounds like, why am I doing your work? But at the end of the day, it's to your benefit. And we'll talk more about that.
Yes, and after that recap, then I list out the resources that I'm sending them. So I'll have a little quick snippet of that item, like a brief description of it, and then I have the sizzle videos below, sell sheets attached. So any information that they asked for, and remember the keyword is what they asked for, okay? Don't just send everything, all the directions, everything you possibly can have about the product. Send what they asked for, so you're not overloading them with other things.
So we got the email.
Yep.
And during that conversation, during the pitch, we talked about some stuff.
Right.
What were some of the questions you might ask during the pitch?
Exactly. So during the pitch, it's great to ask how the review process goes. That way we know what to expect, when we should follow up, and what year they're working on concepts for. So that may play a big part. If I have a few companies reviewing the same product, if somebody's not going to place something for 2 or 3 years, and I know somebody else is looking for that next year, that's going to really help me decide who to get the prototype to first, if they want samples, those kinds of things. But regardless, those are conversations you want to start early, because we unfortunately don't always get the answers.
Yeah, sometimes we're a little bit either early on the season and we don't have the answers, or sometimes we're just a little bit secretive about the answers. And you have to ask the questions, right? So it's on you guys to get the information you need to be successful.
Right, and if we ask when will that review take place, sometimes we get that information, sometimes we don't. But if we get a date of when their review will take place, then we know that we should not email them again until maybe at least a few days or a week after that review was supposed to take place. Because our job is to follow up. We're not nagging them. If you email them every day, we might be nagging them. But if you do it in a timely manner, like we're sharing, we're doing our job. And it is our job as inventors to follow up with them because they have a lot going on. So after you send that information, the resources, what's next, ask a few questions, then thank them for their time and always be professional.
And you see up here a timeline. This is a suggested timeline, right? So if you're talking to me right now, I've been on the road for 3 weeks. And so I haven't had a chance to talk to my team and show your thing. So 2 weeks from when we met in Nuremberg or wherever, I might not have this timeline, this answer. So that's why it's great to get the timeline specific to when you're showing it. If you show it to me later in the year at a different event, I might be able to get you the answer in 2 weeks. The timelines are specific to both to the manufacturer and how their system works, but also to the time of year. And so sometimes you guys are like, it took 6 weeks, but last time it took 1 week. And maybe that's a time of year thing.
Now, they have all the information. We've sent it to them. I like to give 2 or 3 weeks before I ask how that review process went. They may or may not have reviewed it, but if they haven't, it's a little polite nudge to remind them they have some things sitting in their inbox for them to review from me.
And what we also love, right, we talked about this, is a recap of the content and what we said. But what I will do is, if we're going to meet again, right, if I said, hey, check back with me in 2 weeks, or check back with me and we'll talk again, I will look at the old email the last time we interacted, whether it's via email or in my notes. And I'm a terrible note taker, so I'm counting on your notes, and you are too. I'll look back at that email and I'll say, what happened? Where did I leave that conversation? So that's why it's always in your interest to put as much information as you can into that email and make it as simple for them as you can.
Right, and to add on to what Ed said, you don't always have to do this, but it's nice to resend that information, those resources again, so it's at the top of their list. I don't always do that first follow-up, but at least the second or third. That way they're not scrolling to find the stuff to review.
And Malte, we're going to do questions afterwards, so if you guys save your questions, we'll answer them right over there in the interest of time. But the other thing that's really important, and not everyone does this, and not everyone thinks you can do this, you can keep that email just going and going and going and change the subject line. So it doesn't have to say meeting, this, that date. You could say, hey, follow-up information, additional resources included, or maybe the response to a question I asked, or something actionable. You can change the subject line and keep the conversation going. And a clear subject line gets opened, right? If it just says meeting February 21st, I don't know. It's not the top on my list, if we're honest.
Sure. Okay, listen, y'all. I wish the world revolved around all of us, inventors and designers, right? Like, we wish it did, but it doesn't. So the thing we can do is do our job, which is continuing the follow-up. And while we're continuing following up with all the companies that we pitch to, they have stuff going on. They have some stuff going on.
I mean, you guys are actually the best part of our day, the most important part of our process, but not the only thing we work on, unfortunately. And so a lot of times there's 80% of something you didn't hear about and 20% of the joy, which is talking to you guys, meeting you, seeing you at events like this. But there's a lot of back-end work that happens, and we can get distracted.
Yeah.
And I apologize for all of us that have been distracted in the past and maybe inadvertently, not responded as quickly as you wanted. But should I tell them some of the stuff that's going on? Maybe would that help?
That would help. That would help. What are you doing? What are you doing that you're not emailing us back?
So we've met. I loved your concept. But now I've got questions. Is it patentable, right? And everybody's going to go, of course my thing is patentable. But, we're like new, novel, unique, non-obvious, all the usual stuff. But then also we're looking around. That research takes a minute, right? And maybe we have a research team, but more likely it's us. The first step is us. We also are talking to our compliance team or our safety team. We're like, do you have safety concerns? It has water, it has springs, it has electricity. And they're like, yes, we do. We're looking about manufacturing feasibility. We're looking into all the aspects of taking your concept from ideation to shelf, and it takes a minute. And we're doing that for 20 to 200 ideas.
Well,
right?
quick question, Ed. Are you the person that I'm pitching to making all these decisions?
No, I have to meet with people. I have to schedule with people that are on the road, that are here, there, and everywhere. And sometimes that takes a month. Like, it's crazy. Why can't they all work on my schedule?
Wouldn't that be nice?
Wouldn't that be nice? So there's a lot going on in the background, and I know it seems like it takes a while, but it takes a while.
Okay, they loved it. You got the email that they reviewed the videos, they saw the sell sheet, they want more information. Sometimes they might want to just see the directions. Sometimes they want the prototype, and that's exciting. And I think it's important for us designers and inventors to acknowledge that and make sure they know you're excited about it. Because if we're like, okay, that's great, I'll send you a prototype. I mean, no, if we're not excited about it, they're not going to get excited about it or keep that excitement. So I think it's super important to keep that enthusiasm, and then let them know that you're working on a prototype sample for them. If they live in another country, if possible, I'll ask, depending on what kind of game it is, if it's doable for a print and play. A lot of companies are open for a print and play. Yes, it's more work on their end, but they understand stuff gets lost in the shipping, it gets stuck in customs, and so if they're open to that, definitely do that. I recommend it will save you a lot of money, but regardless if they're not, get it to them. Figure out how to get it to them. I recently had to ship a box that was $200. It was like, I had to go back. I couldn't do it. I literally was like, I don't want to do this. But then I'm like, nope, you just got to do it. You just got to do it. So if we want to get it in their hands, which is the next step, they got to play it, they got to touch it, they got to see it, whether it's a game or a toy. They want it in their hands to experience it.
And what we want you to do is track your prototypes, right? You should write down who you sent your prototypes to. We've lost more than a few, we'll be honest, right? We forgot to write it down. We handed it to somebody to show. We were really busy. We were moving, we're whatever. And we were like, we had 5 of these, and now we have 0. So track your prototypes, right? Ask them about the review timing. And then later you're going to circle back and you're going to say, how did the review go, right?
How did the review go? Yep.
So prototypes, they're super important. We need them to play test, but also it's on you to sort of keep track of them as much as it's on us to keep track of them. Because we may still have them and know we have them, but you've forgotten, and then we ship it to you 3 months later and you're like, oh, that's where that is. And we've had that too.
And then we get the dreaded email that they passed. And it's stinky, but it is just part of this job. And I think it's important to learn that not to take the passes personal. It's just not a good fit for whatever reason. And with that leads into feedback. If they didn't offer up feedback in that email when they said they passed on the product, whether it was just a review of the videos or whether it was after they play tested something, ask for that feedback. And I like to ask it in a manner where they see that I want to work with them and I want to get closer to what they are looking for. So I'll ask, okay, if this was a pass, how could it get closer to a yes? Like, can you share with me what it's missing or what you're looking for so I can come back to you with things that are better fit? And that's good for them and me.
Oh, absolutely. And honestly, sometimes we're kind of feeling bad, and so we're firing off an email, and you receive it, and it looks like a bullet point. It doesn't even look like a sentence. And it just says, hey, sorry, I'm passing. That's not because we don't care. We absolutely do care. We care about you. But inversely, we also don't want to leave you out there just wondering what happened, right? So we fire off this quick email. And for some people, that's enough. And for a lot of people, it's not, right? So when we fire off that quick email and you're like, hey, dude, what's up? I spent all this time, all this effort, and shipped you that thing, and you just said, we're passing. It's okay to ask. Don't feel bad for asking. That's on us, right? But again, we're trying to get you your answers. We're trying to work quickly. We've got a lot of things to work on. And if you need more information, don't feel bad about asking for more information. It does make all of us more successful if you can hit our target, and sometimes it's a moving target. So even though we gave you information last time, you may ask this time, and we may say we're on to this other thing. Right? That was a great fit for us a year ago, but trends have moved, fabs have moved, and we're on to this other thing. And so that's not really where the product roadmap is going now. absolutely on you to be more successful. You need to get that information, and it's on us to provide it.
And just to share an example, that recently happened to me where a company was reviewing some things and I asked, how the review went, and I got that email, they're all a pass. Just that. And at first I was like, well, okay then, right? But I took a second and I asked those questions. I said, okay, thank you for letting me know it's a pass. I appreciate that, right? Because we would rather hear that it's a pass than never hear anything at all. But with that, I asked, well, can you share with me what I can do to get closer to a hit, like a fit for you? And that was the best thing I could do, because they said, you know what, these are all in the ballpark. These are things we're doing. So just keep coming up with new ideas. Maybe the theme didn't work, or we're not doing this or that right now. But now I know that what I presented was actually stuff that they're, it's in their range, right? It's what they're looking for. But if I wouldn't have asked that questions, I would have just, thought, well, okay. And I wouldn't be able to then come back with them with the same kind of things to get closer to that yes on another product.
Absolutely. And I want to encourage you guys to keep an Excel sheet, a notebook, something you can use. Because 2 years ago, I saw some concepts, right? And now I'm back onto it, but maybe I've forgotten, right? And you ask me, what are you looking for? And I say, I'm looking for this. And you're like, dude, I showed you that 2 years ago. Things have changed, right? So you keep track of that. You come back around. You say, hey, I know you passed last time, but you said you're looking for this. It's okay to show us the same thing again, right? Again, no disrespect, but there are hundreds of you, right? And hundreds of you have at least 3 to 5 concepts every pitch. And so there are 500 concepts to 1,000 concepts we're looking at a year. And we're doing this year after year after year. I've been in this industry over 25 years. There's lots of things I've forgotten, right? But it's in your interest to keep good notes, an Excel sheet or whatever works for you, and to say, oh, he said he's looking for this now, right? The trend has moved to plush. The trend has moved to backyard play. The trend has moved to family games or party games. And I have this. I showed it to him 2 years ago, but now I'm going to show it to him again, right? So keep good notes for yourself. You'll be more successful if you do. Not just the prototypes, but the presentations.
For sure. I always have a notebook of my daily activities. Emailed this person, sent this to this person, all of that. So keep track of that, whether it's paper, Excel sheet, whatnot. And then what can be scary as after, it can be disheartening, or scary is when we feel ghosted. Maybe we've emailed them, we sent them things, we followed up 1, 2, 3 times, and it's dead silent. So we feel like, okay, we're never going to hear from them again. Oh no. But the thing is it is our job to keep following up, right? We would rather, me especially, would rather have a no and know that it's a pass than just to say, oh, well, that's it,
And here's the thing too, right? So we all work in corporations, and those corporations have IT departments, and those IT departments have these weird filters, and those weird filters have things. And it sounds like such a cliche, like, I didn't get your email. But in fact, sometimes it's true. So all the people that you're presenting to, connect with on LinkedIn. And if you're absolutely ghosted, you're like, it's been 3 months and nothing, you may honestly have not gotten through. I've had licensor emails from large licensing companies that I'm working with as a company get stuck in, and you can imagine connect with them on LinkedIn, message them on LinkedIn. It's not an intrusion if you guys have a business relationship to work a business platform to get your business to grow, right? We're talking about networking. We're talking about relationships. Every one of you within 24 hours of meeting someone here at Toy Fair should have connected with those people on LinkedIn. Hey, loved meeting you today at this event, at that event, at this speaking engagement, wherever it was. LinkedIn is your social media platform for this, and it's your backup plan if the email doesn't work. What you don't want to do is just ring them. Don't just call them on their phone number, even though it's in the email, out of the blue and be like, hey, you didn't look at my thing. I understand. Maybe that's the last resort. But first, let's try the email. Then let's try the LinkedIn or what other connection you have. And then if you're absolutely panicking because they have your prototype and it costs $2,000 to make, for sure give them a ring, right?
And to add to that is in this industry, people switch jobs, they move around, and so sometimes you'll get an email saying they're headed here or there, but other times they've moved. So the email just may not work, and now you might need to find a new contact at that company, and that's again where LinkedIn comes in handy. Like Ed said, is to reach out to them, and they might then share, oh, I'm not here anymore. Contact this person. Sometimes they can do an introduction, which is very helpful as well.
Absolutely. And remember what we said at the front end, right? This whole process is relationships and networks. I know that everyone in this room is like, no, it's about my big idea and all the money I'm going to make on my big idea. But I promise you, that's not your only big idea, right? You're going to have lots of big ideas. That's your first big idea, maybe your 50th big idea, but it's not your last big idea. So from booking the meeting to having the meeting to following up, this is all about relationships. I see people out here that I've seen a number of times, and when I first met them, maybe they weren't super big people, or maybe they were super big people, and I felt like not a big person. But I tell you what I did is I definitely connected with them. I don't care if this is your first toy fair or if it's your 50th toy fair. If we meet for the first time, I'm trying to connect with you. If I forget to connect with you, you should connect with me, right? Don't be like, they didn't invite me to dinner, right? Like that idea like, oh, I saw them, but they didn't say whatever. It's absolutely not like that. We're all here. Inventors are as important to the toy industry as the toy industry is to inventors. A lot of the toy industry you see out here is invention, but it is also the legwork that you guys do that makes it successful, right? If you wait on the one guy in a 500-person company to get back to you, you may be disappointed. You may feel ghosted. Again, communication is key, networking is key, relationships are key. And you need to be polite, right? Try not to make it awkward, cringy, or aggressive. You need to be professional, right? This is business to business. Even if like we've had beers together at Connolly's Pub or something, try to keep it professional because other people are reading my email. And you need to be persistent, right? So don't give up. I know some of you have told me stories here today. I know some of you have told me stories on LinkedIn. I'm sure you've heard lots of stories where somebody said, I sent them an email. And I'm like, one? I've sent 101 emails. I've sent 255 emails today. We've contacted hundreds of companies doing games together. I, as an inventor relations person, have talked to thousands of people, and they've all sent me 3 emails, right? So one email amongst 3,000 isn't the easiest. Also, so this is things to remember, tips, tricks, all the things. You're working on the weekend, you're like, it's Saturday, you hit send. Don't do that, because every other person did that. There's this really cool feature, it's called schedule your email. Think about East Coast, West Coast, where are they? What's 9 o'clock where they are on Monday or Tuesday? Schedule it to arrive in their inbox so it's the top of their inbox. Choose everything you can to improve your success rate, right? It's like, hey, I want to make sure this person reads that email. Maybe you ask for a read receipt, and I say no. And you're like, well, I don't know if he read my email, right? If you put it on Monday at 9 a.m., I almost certainly, if I got it, I read it. If I didn't respond to it, it's because you didn't change the subject line or ask an actionable question. If you sent an email to me in the last year that says, just checking in, I didn't respond. And I'm sorry. But there was no actionable question, right? I know I have your thing. You know I have your thing. You're just checking in. I'm working on it. Should I reply, I'm working on it? Or should you say, hey, is there anything else I can do for you at this time? Do you need links to additional videos? Can I do something for you? Something actionable, a question that I can answer, right? That's what you want. You want to engage us. You want us to be like, feel a little bit obligated to answer your thing. I promise you, just checking in isn't it.
That was great, Ed. Thank you. So something I want to remind inventors about, too, is we cannot control what they're doing, right? We can only control what we can control. And the things that we can control is creating great concepts, getting it in front of people every opportunity that we have, and then following up consistently, persistently, professionally. We can do that. So when you have your big ideas, and man, I would tell you, it was a year or two ago, like I had my big goal was to license 10 things that year. Yes, that would have been amazing. It wasn't 10, but I couldn't control that. What I could control is how many concepts I came up with, how many pitches I did, how many times I was following up to do all that. That's what I can control. That's what you can control. So it's very important to take those as the wins. Like, I sent out so many emails today. I created a new product this week. Those are the wins that should be celebrated by you as inventors and designers, and enjoy that creative process. Also, to add on is that, like Ed mentioned, relationships and reputations are huge in this industry and just in everyday life. And the better you build those relationships, and consistent you are with following up with people, they'll say thanks for following up, thanks for resending, thanks for bumping it up. But also, they're gonna wanna work with you. They're going to, when they move companies, they're gonna remember that one awesome idea that you pitched them, that the company they weren't with couldn't license for whatever reason, and they're gonna email you and say, hey, has this been placed? Because that's happened to me, and it's because of relationships. Also, one thing I just wanna to really hone in on persistence is, one time, a company loved a product, wanted a sample, and then I didn't hear back. I emailed them 11 times.
Over the course of how long?
About a year. And one day I got an email that said, this is amazing, let's license it. Like, what? Now, okay, some people could say, well, do you want to license something with somebody that took you that long to license? There's all conversation about that. But the point is, they're so busy sometimes. Their timing, everything that Ed was talking about, it doesn't match up with our timeline. So remember, things, unfortunately, are not on our timeline. Control what you can control. Take those actions, and then just keep building these relationships, and always be pleasant to work with.
And then the last thing I want to say is, so there's a lot of associations out here. There's United Inventors Association, there's InventRight, there's Toy Fair, there's all these things, right? And some of us feel like I'm 20 or I'm 19 or whatever it is, whatever your insecurity is. We all have that same insecurity. Just show up. Just join the thing. Attend. During COVID, we had so many people attending these great online events and networking and meeting each other and connecting via LinkedIn. As inventors, you feel like this is only happening to me until you go to the pub and you talk to somebody and you hear that everybody's having that experience, right? So that as you're walking around today, you'll see a lot of associations and the Toy Fair and different events that are advertised. Those are for your benefit, right? It makes sense to join that group on LinkedIn. It makes sense to join this here. It makes sense to attend these events and network, right? If you can take advantage of them, don't go back to your hotel and feel like, that's not really for me. It is for you, right? Those events are for inventors. I don't care if you're 19 or 99. Those events are for you to network, for you to support each other, for you to talk to each other, for you to find out that it's not just you having that experience. So I apologize for all the inventor relations people that maybe ghosted you and let you down, but also talk to each other and you'll find out you're not alone there.
And lastly, if you are not connected with us on LinkedIn, please be sure to connect with us on LinkedIn. We put out videos every week. We love giving tips and tricks to inventors and designers. And yeah,
we'll answer any questions you guys have right over there. Behind the scenes, behind the curtain, there's no, as long as you're not recording me and putting it on, no, I'm kidding. We'll be right over there if you need us. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.